What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. Congress and the Senate working on a massive $1.7 trillion government funding bill with a lot of other stuff into it. I'll give you the details on that, and I'll let you hear directly from the Senate floor what's going on here with that. So let's jump right in. If you're new to our channel, thank you so much for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps out our YouTube channel. And if you haven't yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on new videos. Let's jump right in. Here we go. Okay, first, the Senate is working on still this $1.7 trillion government funding bill, of which more than half is for funding of the defense of our country, $850 billion plus for the defense of our country. Also, plus on top of that, about $45 billion for Ukraine. So when it comes to defense, more than half right to defense. Yeah. So Senate strikes deal on how to advance the spending agreement here today. Also, you can see here Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer breaks Title 42 spending bill logjam with Senator Kirsten Sinema's help, who's no longer a Democrat. She's now an independent. I'll get to that here in a second. First, I want to show you a clip from Republican Senator Rand Paul, who wants to tell you something about this bill and, well, a lot of bills in the Senate and how they get done. Take a listen.
There are many other points of order that can be raised on this. The budget rules are actually of some value if we would actually obey the rules. Some of the people, you see them in their states, they're at campaign rallies, they'll tell you at town halls, they'll tell you on the Senate floor that we absolutely must get spending under control. They'll tell you that the debt is a problem. They'll tell you that it's a terrible way to run government to have omnibuses. It's terrible to put $6 trillion together in one bill, release it at 1:30 in the morning, and pass it, and you can read about it and find out what is in it later. I suspect you will find a lot of promises, though, that will be violated as we vote on these PAYGO restrictions. Realize that this is the law. The law of the land says you can't do this. Congress, in passing this omnibus, is breaking the law. The statute says very clearly they cannot do this. The only way they actually can evade responsibility is they change the law. They say, oh, well, it'd be embarrassing to get rid of the law. We will waive the law. So we have laws for decades that could actually right our fiscal house and put us on a course towards balancing our budget, and the rules are waived. They disobey their own rules. Congress does a disservice to the economy every time it waives these points of orders. What good are these procedures if they're never upheld? What started as formal guardrails to keep fiscal health of this nation strong is now merely just a messaging tool with no real significance that allows senators to get away with making promises they never intended to keep. That is why, in addition to raising this point of order, I am introducing an amendment to reform our budget procedures by raising the threshold. Let's make it less easy for them to break the rules. Currently, 60 senators can break the rules. Let's make it 2/3. Let's make it 67 senators necessary to break the rules. Why? Because they're bankrupting this country. Both sides of the aisle. There's an unholy alliance between both parties. One party wants more welfare, one wants more warfare. It's either the military-industrial complex or the welfare-industrial complex. But what happens inevitably every year is spending goes up. People come and the journalists question, what will happen? What will happen with Christmas here? The only thing that is known to happen is this body, both parties, will continue to add to the debt. And there is a day when you wake up and the dollar is worthless. Right now, the dollar's losing nearly 10% of its value on an annual basis, but there is a day when it's 10% a day or 10% an hour. Great countries have succumbed to the destruction of currency, and it happens through debt, through deficit financing, and it's coming to us. There is a day of reckoning. Unless we wake up and say enough's enough, we're going to do the prudent and rational thing. We're going to balance our budget. It's time that we take our nation's health seriously, and it's time that we show concern for those who are being damaged and devastated by inflation. The inflation at the grocery store, at the gas pump, who does it hurt the worst? It hurts those on fixed income, senior citizens. It hurts the working class and the poor, those who have most of their expenditures that go towards consumption, towards their food and groceries and gas. People who spend 90% of what they earn on buying the stuff that allows them to live are the people that are decimated by inflation. So if there are people in this body who do care, who do really care about those who are struggling with the burden of inflation, the best way is quit digging the hole deeper, quit adding the debt, and do what even European countries can do, and that's begin to balance our budget.
So you guys can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. But there's some people criticizing this. Even Senator Bernie Sanders criticized this bill because over half the bill is going towards the military. Senator Bernie Sanders voted twice, actually last year and this year, saying that the 850 some billion dollars that goes just towards the defense of our country and goes up every single year, it's going to be $1 trillion here eventually. That money doesn't even get audited. It doesn't even get audited. So the money goes to the different branches of the government or the military, and we don't even know how it gets spent. It just they just give it to them, and that's that. And it goes up every single year. That's more than half of the spending for our entire country. So like when we talk about like money for the people, like child tax credits, adult tax credits, money for homeless, money for food stamps, money for government assistance, money for anything else, the government spending on defense is more than all of those programs combined. So just kind of letting you guys know that. And don't forget that I have multiple family members in that are veterans. So just kind of letting you guys know the reality of this. So it's just not, it's just the facts. It's just the facts. So you guys can let me know your thoughts here on that in the comment section. Okay, next up here, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer announced here this morning that he's reached an agreement with colleagues on the amendments to the 4,155-page omnibus government funding bill so that the Senate can pass the bill later in the day and give the House a chance to act on it Friday. They're talking about here that they haven't had a chance to read this, but they've been talking about this 4,155-page bill here for a couple days now. So I would think they've had a chance to read it because it's been this for a while now. So I would think they've had a chance to read it because they're still talking about this 4,155-page bill. So, and there's been a few days they've been talking about this now. So it's not like they only get an hour to read this. So I mean, you guys let me know your thoughts here on this. They're still talking about this. It looks like his savior may be independent Senator Kyrsten Sinema from Arizona, who on Thursday introduced an amendment to increase border funding and resources for border communities and extend Title 42 health policy that expedites the deportation of migrants, in this case illegal migrants crossing the border illegally, seeking asylum in the United States. So this would extend it by order of Congress. Remember, it's temporarily paused right now by the Supreme Court, but Congress would, put it as an official law. Sinema's amendment could give political cover to centrist Democrats to vote against a proposal sponsored by Senator Mike Lee to cut funding for Homeland Security unless the Biden administration reinstates the Trump era Title 42 policy. Democrats say Lee's amendment would sink the omnibus in the House if it passes in the Senate. Schumer said on the floor that senators and staff had worked until 2 a.m. to work out a deal on amendments, but failed to reach one. Then, just before 10 a.m., wow, that's a long night of working, Schumer announced a deal with Republicans to vote on a block of 15 amendments, giving the Senate a chance to pass the $1.7 trillion deal later in the day. That would give the House a chance to vote on it Friday to send the deal to Biden's desk, saying, quote, "We have an agreement now. We will vote on all the amendments in order and then vote on final passage. It's taken a while, but it is worth it, and I appreciate the cooperation of everyone here," Schumer announced on the floor. This block of amendments includes Lee's proposal and Sinema's side-by-side amendment, which is co-sponsored by Senator Jon Tester. The massive spending bill stalled last night when Senator Lee insisted on getting a vote on his amendment. Republicans argue that Title 42 is holding back a deluge of migrants from Venezuela and other countries at the U.S.-Mexico border. As I said here, the U.S. Supreme Court has temporarily blocked the Biden administration's attempt to end 42. I don't know if this is the Biden administration's attempt because there's a court that has said that it will end on December 21st. And then the Supreme Court said we're going to temporarily pause that decision. Sinema's amendment would likely need to be allowed a simple majority of 51 votes to pass. If the parliamentarian rules it needs 60 votes to pass, it will likely fall away. Sinema's proposal would boost border security funding, increase resources to border communities, and extend Title 42 until what she calls a proper plan to address the flood of migrants in place. Quote, "This year's historic levels of border crossing at our southern border makes clear the status quo is not working. Our amendment boosts funding for border security, increases resources for border communities, and extends Title 42 until a proper plan to manage the crisis at our border is in place," Senator Kyrsten Sinema said in a statement. Now, of course, there's a lot of things in this 4,000 plus page bill. A lot of things we're still learning about, actually. You could see here one of them, big changes to the retirement system are included in this Congress's end of year bill. Details on this are tucked into this $1.7 trillion bill are a range of significant reforms to help Americans save more for retirement. These include increasing the age for required minimum distributions, also known as RMDs, from retirement plans, to pushing businesses to get more employees enrolled in the plans. The bill also includes ideas that may help younger people save more earlier in life. The measures, which begin on page 2046 of the massive 4,155 page bill. So this actually just goes to show you that the bill is out in the public, so the senators definitely have time to read through this, because if this is out in the public and you can read through this, they can read through this. If you got time to read through the 4,155 page bill, by all means, go ahead. Means that the long delayed retirement reform legislation known as Secure 2.0 is now likely on a path to becoming law as soon as this weekend and would start to address what is becoming a retirement saving crisis in the U.S. Remember that a little bit over 50% of Americans retire with no retirement savings at all and only have Social Security to rely on. Quote, "Americans deserve dignified retirements after decades of hard work, and our bill is an important step forward." Senate Finance Committee Chairman Ron Wyden said in a statement, Wyden was one of the many key players behind the bill, alongside Senator Mike Crapo, a Republican from Idaho, Representative Richard Neal, a Democrat from Massachusetts, and Representative Kevin Brady, a Republican from Texas. So a bipartisan group there. Quote, these are reforms that will make a meaningful difference for workers who have struggled to save, which is good there. Congress is poised to help millions more workers and retirees with significant improvements to the nation's private retirement system, and will add billions to the retirement savings for small business workers, part-time workers, employees with student loan debt, military spouses, low-income workers, and others. The massive overall bill is also set to fund the government into 2023 and has a series of other notable measures to it as well, such as an overall as to how the electoral votes are counted during presidential elections and a TikTok ban on U.S. government devices. The bill would also expand on retirement saving options by allowing a deferral on mandatory withdrawals, which basically means that you have to pay taxes on them. You know, the government would make you force them to come out, and an increased catch-up contribution on 401k, which means you could put more money in your 401k plans and IRAs, which is a good thing, and provide new options for small businesses and offer retirement plans to employees. This is a follow-up to the 2019 Secure Act, which represented the first major retirement legislation since 2006 and has been 2 years in the making. So this is a good thing. Another goal here is a variety of ways to nudge businesses to auto-enroll people into retirement plans. Studies have shown that employers with auto-enrollment retirement plans have much higher rates of participation. And remember here that, I'll get to that here in a second, but the Secure Act also increases the RMD's, required minimum distribution age, to 72 instead of 70, so you won't have to start taking required minimum distributions until 72. Now, under the spending bill introduced Tuesday, the age again, this still has to pass though and get the details finalized. The age requirement would raise again to 73 starting on January 1st, 2023, and then to 75 by 2033. The bill also increases so-called catch-up contributions allowed for savers at ages 62 to 64. The plan also has a novel idea of treating student loans as deferrals for the purpose of retirement savings. That means that student loans and saving for retirement could effectively be linked if an employer chooses and offers a plan that allows a worker to put aside some money for retirement while simultaneously addressing more pressing financial concerns. This bill won't address the challenges of Social Security, which they will probably take up in 2023. Yeah, the problem here is that if people don't save anything for retirement their whole lives, if they just go working through their 20s, their 30s, their 40s, their 50s, their 60s, and don't save anything at all, they run into a huge problem where Social Security is just not enough. And yeah, that's the problem. Where if they just save a little bit, just a little bit out of each paycheck, you actually pay less taxes because it's actually a tax deduction per se. A lot of times, your employer will actually give you a match. Which is actually free money. It's like taking a raise per se, and the money will grow over time. You just put it like in an index fund, a stock index fund, just let it grow. You're going to have ups and downs along the way. That's actually kind of a good thing because the downs, like right now, the stock market's down about 20% year to date, but last year it was up 27% year to date. When it's down, you're actually buying along the way on a down. You're buying low. You're buying low. That's a good thing. So you're actually buying cheap, and it just grows along the way. It grows along the way. You take a look here. Here is a Dow Jones stock index of 30 years. And 30 years ago, it was at 3,000 roughly. Now it's at 32 or almost 33,000. So it's basically 11 times or 10 times your money. So it grows over time. That's with all the ups and downs and everybody getting scared and panicking and the coronavirus drop and the 1987 drop and the tech bubble drop and all those drops. It's still gone up 10 times your money. So all that, just putting a little bit away each paycheck, just a tiny little bit away every little paycheck, basically just lottery money or, liquor money or, cigarette money or, something like that, right? It grows into hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of time, or for some people, millions of dollars, just a little bit each paycheck, right? It grows into massive amounts. And this is how people get wealthy over time, right? And if nobody ever told you this, at least I'm telling you this. This is really good stuff here that I learned from people smarter than me. And the problem is if you don't save anything, then you're relying only on Social Security. And well, we know the problem with Social Security just is not enough for a lot of people. So, if you want to share this video with anybody and I'll keep you up to date here. But hopefully we see more Social Security raises here in the future. The Social Security raise going on here that's going to kick in here in January, or actually at the end of December for some people, will be the 4th largest Social Security raise ever. And it's actually higher than inflation now, 8.7%. Inflation's down to 7.1% now. Hopefully we'll continue going down here now. But actually putting money in like that is exactly how pensions work. Remember pensions, there's not very many pensions around nowadays. But pensions are the exact same way. It's kind of like making your own pension. My dad worked at a grocery store for like 40 years, and they would take a little bit of money out of his paycheck every single week to fund his pension. And then the grocery store would actually put a little bit of money out of their pocket to fund his pension as well. And then they would invest it. It's exactly how a pension works. So you can fund your own pension. You can make your own pension the exact same way. It's called a 401k or an IRA. Yeah, so let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. Make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't yet. Click the bell icon. I'll have a giveaway for you guys here in the next video where you can win cash directly from us. And thanks so much for liking and sharing these videos. You can click here to watch my newest video next, or you can click here to watch my newest video about a major initiative the White House is doing right now. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.